It's time for us to meet the Mafia bosses in 2022. Some families have acting bosses or street bosses due to certain circumstances like unknown hierarchy, mostly because the genuine boss had just died, been slain, or retired. Stay with me as we transverse to the world of complex and ruthless family affairs. Let us begin our countdown. Number 1. Michael the Nose Mancuso, Bonanno family. He has been the official boss of the Bonanno family for the past 8 years. In 2004, he was the acting underboss of Joseph Josie Camarano, Jr., until he became the official boss in June 2013, while still being imprisoned for the next 5 years. Let us recapitulate. Mancuso was promoted to acting underboss in the 1980s, but was sentenced to 10 years in prison after being convicted of manslaughter and for the death of his wife, Evelina. He was charged for several murders, including the murder of Bonanno Capo Gerlando Cia in 1999. Big Joe Massino, the former head of the Bonanno crime family, was the only one who linked Mancuso to the murder. Mancuso was convicted again for another murder in 2008 and sentenced to 15 years in prison. With him were lots of Bonanno members and associates who were imprisoned after the FBI narcotics bust in 2017. He was arrested on March 9, 2022, but released on a bail of $500,000. Number 2. Andrew Andy Mush Russo, Colombo family. The Colombo crime family is the youngest of the 5 families that dominate organized crime activities in New York City, within the criminal organization known as the American Mafia. The New York's most violent mafia family was forced to look for a new boss. Carmine the Snake Persico left the Colombo family without a boss for the first time since the 1970s when he died in 2019. Some claim that Carmine appointed his son, Alphonse Aliboy, to go to the position, but no confirmation had been made. Andy Mush Russo was serving as Colombo's family street boss. After Aliboy's death on April 18, 2022, the position is still vacant. Russo was Carmine Persico's cousin, and he held the title of acting underboss since 1973, when Persico took over the family. Number 3. Lorenzo MANNINO, Gambino family. MANNINO is the new powerful acting boss of the Gambino family. He is around 62 years old and has been involved with the Gambino family since the Gotti Garvano era Mannino. In fact, worked as a hitman for the Gotti Frank Cali, who named acting boss when the official family boss, Domenico Italian Dom Cefalo, went semi-retirement in 2015. Mannino took over as the family's new underboss after Cali was murdered in front of his home in 2019. He was taking over a family that appears to be in transition. It's unclear if Lore will be named the official boss. Lore assassinated Francisco Oliveira in 1998. Sammy Garavano, who testified against Lore and the others in 1993, was in charge of the hit's planning and execution. Mannino was released in 2014 after serving 10 years. He was quickly promoted to capo after serving his sentence quietly and returning to the streets. By this point, the fervor surrounding the Gotti era had subsided. This enabled Mannino and his family to begin the slow process of rebuilding after nearly 2 decades. Number 4. BOREO Barney BELLOMO, Genovese family. BOREO Salvatore Bellomo is the Genovese crime family's boss in the United States. He was inducted into the Genovese family in 1977. Following the indictment of Vincent Gigante in the Widows case, Kenneth McCabe then organized crime investigators for the United States, where Bellomo was identified as the acting boss of the crime family in 1990. Bellomo was charged with RICO, which included multiple murders, racketeering, and extortion in 1996. The murder charges were eventually dropped. Barney worked out a plea on the other charges and received a 10-year sentence, which was a huge success compared to the life sentence he could have received. He was released in 2004 but was soon caught up in another murder investigation while serving his sentence. He was accused of ordering the 1998 murder of Ralph Coppola. Once again, he was able to beat the charge while only being convicted of mail fraud. The Genovese family may be doing better than any other mafia family in the country as a whole. They have a good number of active captains playing tribute. Bellomo has been recognized as the official boss of the Genovese family ever since 2016. Number 5. Vittorio AMUSO, LUCCHESE family. Since 1987, AMUSO has been the LUCCHESE family's official boss. He is regarded as one of the most deadly mafia bosses in American history, and multiple informants claim that he still rules the family from behind bars. Vic and his former underboss, Anthony Picasso, were involved in a dozen mafia murders. When you consider AMUSO's original mentor, Crazy Joe Gallo, it's no surprising fact that he was violent. Vic and Gaspeppe were responsible for the 1986 car bombing that killed John Gotti's underboss, Frank DeCiso. They were both eventually caught up in the famous Widows case, and Casso became an informant. The LUCCHESE family as a whole is doing quite well. They have captives with crews of soldiers and associates spread across New York City and New Jersey. Number 6. Joseph Big Toe Todaro, Jr. Magaddino family. Big Joe Todaro Jr. is the boss of the Magaddino family in Buffalo, New York. The family also possesses considerable power. North of the border in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, Big Joe's father, Joseph Todaro Sr., was the family's boss in the 1980s when the family was at its strongest. The Magaddino family has been around for more than a century when his father went into semi-retirement in 1995. Todaro Jr. took over as acting boss. He would be named official boss 11 years later in 2006. At the time, the family wielded enormous power over local labor unions. They have since lost most of their businesses, but there are still many others such as drug trafficking, loan sharking, and extortion of local businesses. There is no doubt that the Magaddino family still exists. The question in recent years has been how much power do they still hold? It's not the level it once was, but they evolved into a more semi-legitimate type of organization. In December 2019, Barrow's adult entertainment club ran by Todaro's nephew was raided. Number 7. Salvatore Soli di DELAURENTIS, Chicago outfit. When the previous boss, John No-Nos DeFranzo, retired in 2014, Soli D took over as the official boss. DeFranzo continued to provide family advice until his death in 2018 from Alzheimer's disease. DeLaurentis is a skilled mobster who has previously served as a mediator between rival outfit factions, earning him the respect that has propelled him to the top of the Chicago outfit. Soli D is known during early 80s, and while he hasn't retired, he has slowed down the current outfit. Number 8. Joseph Skinny Joey Merlino, Bruno family. For more than 2 decades, Joseph Skinny Joey Merlino has been the boss of the Bruno family in Philadelphia. His father, Chucky Merlino, the former Scarfo underboss, they took over in 1999 when his predecessor Ralph Natali became a government witness. Merlino was acquitted of 3 other murder charges in 2001, but was convicted of racketeering and spent the next decade in prison. He served his sentence quietly, but the FBI knew Merlino was still in charge in Philadelphia. When he was released in 2011, he moved to Boca Raton, Florida. According to him, he was completely retired from all mafia activities in 2016. But the mafia made headlines once more when 46 mobsters were arrested in a massive RICO case, and Merlino was one of the men along with several known Genovese family members in New York. This demonstrates that families all over the country are still actively working together. Number 9. Carmen the Big Cheese DINUNZIO, Patriarca family. The Patriarca crime family, also known as the New England Mafia, the Boston Mafia, and the Providence Mafia, is an Italian-American mafia family in New England. The family was led by Carmen the Big Cheese DINUNZIO, a member of the Boston faction. The family is primarily active in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut, in additional territory spread throughout New England. The enormous cheese man weighs somewhere around 400 pounds. He was a successor of longtime boss Luigi Baby Shack's MANCUSO, who was imprisoned in 2011 and is now thought to be retired. DINUNZIO was imprisoned for bribery in 2009 and released in early 2015, when family boss Peter Lemon died. In 2016, he became the new boss. The family is surviving because it has such a diverse membership. Many of its members have invested heavily in more legitimate businesses. Their hierarchy appears to be stable after nearly a century, but they don't have any captains at the moment and need to fill the ranks. Number 10. Jackie the Kid, GIACALONE. Detroit Partnership Family. The Detroit Partnership is an organized crime family that has existed since the 1930s and continues to exist today. When longtime boss died in 2014, Jackie the Kid took over. The partnership was no stranger to the Kid's family. From a young age, he was groomed to be the boss. Jackie the Kid was born into a prosperous criminal family. The partnership is a smaller organization with about 40 to 50 members, but is quite functional. They've done an excellent job of remaining low-key with only a few informers. They have a lot of investments into legitimate businesses, in addition, of course, to extortion, loan sharking, and drug dealings. These are some of the well-known active mafia bosses and families in 2022. Their influence on society had been proven and witnessed by so many. Whether it could be positive or negative, somehow they are writing their own history that the future generations will somewhat look back on. What do you think of our video today? Let us know your thoughts.